Harriet Sansom Harris just earned her first Emmy nomination for her appearance on Hacks. I'm David Buchanan with Gold Derby. Harriet, first and foremost, congratulations on the Emmy nomination.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's a delightful surprise. Thank you.
How did you hear about the news, and how does the recognition feel at this moment in your career?
It's lovely. You know, I was very proud of the show. It was a delightful work experience. I loved getting to work with Jean, and it was an easy and fun job. So I'm glad that I got nominated for something that I really was proud of. And I've been proud of other things too, but it's delightful that it's, you know, whenever something comes together that whether you get recognized for it or not, actually, it's delightful when something comes together. But this was a perk. It was certainly a surprise, like I said.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about next is you've done so many incredible projects, series and films over the course of your career. What is so special and unique about Hacks? Because it really is, you know, just a really special comedy. So now that you've done it, you know, what is so unique about the show?
I'm not sure because I don't really know the producers and the writers, but I would think that part of what's great about it is the authenticity, that they know this life, they've lived this life to some degree, maybe not the way Deb has, but that it's very well, that the vocabulary is very authentic. Their point of view is sharp and incisive and funny, and I think that comes from knowing the territory. But I could be so wrong, but that's what I think. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. When they approached you about this character who's just so rich and multidimensional, what was it about her that jumped off the page to you that made you want to take on the role?
I like that these two women, well, mainly I wanted to work with Jean again because I think she's great. But in terms of the part and why I wanted to know what the part was before I just said, you bet, I wanted to see what purpose she served in the show. And I'm usually very interested in knowing what kind of thing it is, what I'm there to do. So, and I do like this idea that they've lived very different lives, that their ambitions were similar, maybe not ever identical, because Deb's a very definite creature, and but that they had the same desires when they were young, and just something came up. Of course, Deb thinks it's something that she did, but it was something more that Susan observed that she just didn't want a part of, and was scared that she would go down that route too and didn't want it.
Yeah,
so
and
I just think that's interesting, that conflict, and that you presume these women are in conflict, because from Deb's point of view, there must be something there, but it really isn't. It really is, I've got mine and you've got yours. And I think I chose right. I hope you did. I hope this was the right path for you, Deb.
Yeah, we'll dive into all of that. But as you're kind of outlining, the characters have such have a long history together. And you mentioned working with Jean before. This is kind of a reunion of The Man Who Came to Dinner, which you did together.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, you know, how does having that history and rapport with Jean help kind of establish this character dynamic? Because we have to believe, obviously, that they knew each other, you know, decades ago, and obviously, you know, we feel that immediately as soon as Susan comes on screen. So was that helpful at all in kind of establishing their relationship?
I think so. And I you know, Jean and I have we crossed paths a long time ago, and then there was a sort of reunion performance of Man Who Came to Dinner that happened. I don't know if that was 7 years ago or 10 years ago, but we're, you know, we've worked together, but we're not pals. So I think in a way that was perfect for Susan and Deb, that there's an interest and respect there, but there's not a deep knowing of the other person. That so there was a lot of, I think, feeling out of who this person is now, and having known, so long ago. And maybe that helped. But I think, even if we were pals, you would have played it that way. You would have played it like people you once took a cruise with and are happy to see again. Not that I've taken a cruise, but that sort of thing. There's a closeness for a while, and then you're just in different countries.
Yeah, that comes across so clearly on screen. And Deb, we kind of see in her face, how she feels about seeing Susan unexpectedly in Lord and Taylor. I'm wondering, how do you think Susan feels, encountering Deb again? Because obviously this is unexpected and kind of comes into her workplace. What is that kind of first feeling you think when she sees her in that store?
I think it's kind of like maybe looking up in the sky and seeing a blimp or something. It's like, wow, that's unexpected and wonderful. And here it is, right, coming into my field of vision. It's just, how did this happen? That she and I are here in this small town, in this same place, not small town, but much smaller than where I imagine Deb is, if Deb crosses my mind. I don't, I must have been aware of her all these years, but I don't think I fly to Vegas to see her. I haven't kept track of her career like that. So, and I think it's just, it's like seeing a friend from high school or something how did they end up in New York? It's when people come to see me in shows or something, and suddenly they're outside the theater, and we both sort of think this is so bizarre and out of context, and what brought us together was this show, but how unexpected and really exciting to see somebody and still recognize them after so long. I think it's pretty poignant and very sweet, really.
Yeah, that's what I love about the episode and their dynamic is, as you're saying, very poignant and rich, but Susan is also hysterically funny. I mean, you have some just delicious, lines to deliver, and they're so great. And it gives us a real insight into her sense of humor, because she was a stand-up long ago. I just wanted to ask, did you give any thought to what was her style like? What kind of stand-up did she do? What was her sense of humor like? Because we get glimpses of it now, and it's obviously really sharp, and so fun to watch.
Yeah, I didn't think a lot about that, frankly. I thought she seems to me like she must have been a little tougher than she is now, and Paul encouraged me to, remember that she was a stand-up and she could drop everything and still do it. She might not have the set ready, but she's got still that inner, she just thinks funny. So, as people say. So but what kind of material she gravitated towards, I don't know. She's certainly not afraid of saying much of anything. So, I mean, she says things in front of the grandkids that I think most grandmothers would be surprised by. But I don't know. No, I just really was trying to figure out why I was dropped into Deb's life for those few days.
Yeah, and she really does seem to Deb seems to bring that out of Susan too. And we get that great scene of competition where, it's all fun and games until Deb gets that, competitive streak back, and Susan is right back in it.
Yeah.
Competitive. Why do you think that it does seem to, rankle Susan a bit? What does it feel like for her to kind of be thrown back into that kind of competition with Deborah again?
Well, it's interesting because when we shot it, I think it was, but the mechanism on the balloon, shoot the balloon thing wasn't really working properly. So my grandsons were actually supposed to be the ones that were losing, and I was purposely not winning. And then Deb took over and couldn't help herself, just her competitive nature. And then that's when I started it. So it was really about letting the kids win. And that was important to me. And that Deb would rob them of that is what, spurred me on to trying to win. Because it was just like, I'm not having it. You're not going to beat my grandkids. And then it was like, well, then it is. It's about us, and I'm going to take you down. So, but the machine didn't work properly. So I think when they edited the thing, it does look more like it was always a competition between us.
Yeah, it came together great. And
Yeah.
it transitions so beautifully into that scene that you and Jean have. That's just so rich. I mean, it's such a delight to watch. The two characters kind of dive into the past and have a real kind of heart-to-heart meeting of the minds. I love that Susan says too that, watching Deb, what she was going through with her daughter, she couldn't do it or she didn't want to, that kind of, that choice that she has to make. Do you think, I get the sense from the character that she could have done it, but, chose a different path in life. Do you think she feels like she couldn't do it, or what do you think is really at the heart of it? Because I feel like she could if she wanted to, but made a choice.
I think she really thought it was more important that she be a good mother, and that she could see that it would be a very difficult thing. There weren't a lot of female comedians at the time, so the role models that were out there were pretty sparse, I guess. And the person that Susan knew that was getting places was Deb. And that was scary to contemplate that would be my life. And no matter what profession you're in, you're offered a job, say, that's a great job. And you think this is potentially a career-changing job, but I've got a sick kid, I've got my sister's wedding, I've got, and there are these choices that people make all the time about, do I put my career first? Is that the most important thing in my life? Or is my life more important? And for Susan and people like Susan, she chose her family life over her career life.
Yeah, and I loved how that comes through in your last scene. Let's talk about your final lines. When you kind of encourage Deborah with that line, "You hang in there."
Oh, he's so terrible in a way.
I was just gonna say, I love how you deliver it. It's so complex because it's, it could be read compassionate, but it's also a dig. Or Deborah feels it that way.
Well, she had a bad set. I mean, it's just you can't deny that was not Deb at her best. And if it was, then she's not doing too well. But having not seen her for a long time and have that be the one, and again, that people come see you in plays and you're only as good as the last play. And if they hated the show, then they'll go, next time, maybe, or you were so good in that, and you do think, oh, come on, just if you don't have anything nice to say. But I think she was trying to be nice and saying, you got a lot of talent, and that's the breaks, and we all make choices, and this is where you put your investment. This is and you've got talent, so you'll have a better show. Hang in there. But you did choose something very hard to do. So, and it's a competitive business, and you're competing with a cow. So it's just like a nightmare. A cow giving birth. How can you can't compete with that.
Utterly. It's such a great scene. Before I let you go, I do want to ask, I think fans of Hacks would love to see Susan again. So if Susan does come back, what do you hope to see of her if she were to come back? Where do you hope Susan is in her life if we see her again?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, Deb would have to need more perfume, or Deb would have to buy a pair of shoes, or I don't know that it could be that this got her competitive spirit going and that she did decide that she's going to start doing local stand-up. But I think that's going to take a while to, evolve into anything that we would actually see her on Hacks again. So Susan will probably be having a very happy life off of Hacks. If they want to bring her back, then I'm sure they can think of something wonderful for her to do. But and it would be fun to do it. But I don't see that I'd be opening for Deb on the road.
Well, we certainly hope that Susan has a very happy life off of Hacks. And we congratulate you, Harriet Sansom Harris, on your Emmy nomination. Thanks so much for talking to Gold Derby today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you.